we drew our little Venn diagram here. Alright, and this was connection, and this was angle. Actually, you drew that one as angle.
It doesn't matter. And movement.
Yeah, and then
Yep.
over here was movement.
Yep.
Movement, connection, angle.
Alright, okay, so there are formal rules of logic, right? Like logic is actually a branch of math. Basic logic's a 200 level course. Advanced logic goes all the way up to fucking people. There's literally dudes writing their doctorates on this, right? Exploring where the modern square of opposition works with stuff. So there's a form of the modern square of opposition that uses a Venn diagram.
Okay.
Right? And so if we have, for example, let's take one thing. All connections have an angle.
Yes.
Right? And every angle is an attack angle. Right? Like every one of them,
yep.
right? So we can already say in the rules of formal logic that there is nothing in this section. This section right here is an empty set. There is no connection that does not have an angle. All right? All angles do not have a connection though, so only some angles have a connection.
Okay.
Okay, right? Now, some angles have connections. All connections have an angle. All right? Now, when you talk movement and angles, all movement has an angle. So there is no movement that does not also...
It technically doesn't exist yet. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
It does not exist in a relevant context,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I can be moving out here with no connection to you, and I do all the time. Like I got up off the toilet earlier today. I was moving. It had no connection to you. It's not relevant to your life until I use it as an illustrative example, right? So all relevant movement has an angle, right? So we could define movement as being within a range of attack.
Okay.
Right? Like relevant movement is movement within a range of attack.
Okay.
And all movement that is within a range of attack has an attack angle.
Yes. Totally.
Okay. So these sets are empty. Some movement has connection, right? Arguably, in grappling, all relevant movement has a connection. And when we have all three together, is when you have like an actual finishable Kazushi, right? So we can make
whatever attack
right?
it is. Yeah.
Yes. So some movement has a connection. All relevant movement has an angle, and all relevant angles have at least potential for movement.
Okay.
In grappling and in striking, like if I'm completely still, you will endure that all day.
Yes.
Right? It will be inconvenient, but it means nothing. So here, movement and angle, all the relevant ones occupy that same space. Right?
Yep.
So those are both. Right? And then this is the one thing that you can have an angle without a connection, and you can have an angle without movement, and it has relevant. So this is the only non-empty set.
Okay.
Right? I would argue that what this means is that this is the most important. This is the one on which you have to base all of your attack. Because it is the only...
I don't know if I can agree with that, because you can have an angle, but if you have an angle without...
If I have one and I don't have a connection...
Yeah, I mean, you don't get thrown with by angle by itself.
And I don't get hit. If I have one and I don't move, I don't get hit.
So we're talking relevance, right?
We're defining this within a sphere of relevance.
So the way it was drawn up before, right? The relevance.
No, it just clicked.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
So the way we referred to it in the other chart as relevant was Kazushi.
Yeah.
It's that if you have Kazushi, it has now become relevant.
Yeah.
We just called it Kazushi.
Yeah.
So that's relevant, because it's not relevant if it doesn't give you
I'd argue
if it doesn't affect you, and the effect that it's looking to
take care of
create
it,
or cause is the off balancing.
this area right here is where you get effective kazushi, right?
Yes.
That area right there is where you get effective kazushi or an effective strike. I can have
You can
connection.
have you can have percentiles
Yes.
of kazushi,
You can.
but
Yes.
that doesn't quite give you
Yes.
everything you're looking
Yes.
for. Yes.
But I think it's relevant to say this is the only non-empty set. There are things that exist. There are things that exist here.
It's just present at all times.
Right. There are things that exist here that are relevant. And since it is the only set that always has something in it, it is the one upon which you should base your plan of attack.
If you think about this from like law enforcement, right? What was the very first thing if you had a partner that you were doing when you approach somebody?
Sorry, I was totally.
So, but this is
Law
that ever
enforcement
this
partners.
is like so. This is that ever present thing. If there's 2 to 1, you always split them. You always 45.
Oh, yeah.
You're not in contact yet,
And
Yeah.
stagger them.
but yet you always
Split and
or
stagger.
you split, like you're playing with it before you're even making contact or any of the other stuff. Like it's something that's ever present. And it has to be addressed. The moment you see them start doing it, you have to start neutralizing that angle before you even get within whatever the engagement zone is.
So the other thing about this is to get to kazushi, we said earlier, you have to move them 2 different directions at once. Right? So angle determines the direction, right? So to get to this, you have to be moving them 2 different directions at once. The sub part of this that I wanted to divide this up with is that the next relevant factor is actually factor 2 is your connections. Because if I have, you can have 2 grips and you don't really have 2 connections. Not because again we're defining this as relevant, right? If I've got Nick by the wrist, right, like kind of by his thumb over top of his hands are bigger than mine. I can't crush him. He's 250 pounds. That's not a real connection.
Yeah, I get
That's a defensive connection at best, right? But if I have a thumb all the way up by his freaking tag and I've got his gi knotted in and twisted, that's a real connection, right? So what I can do with that connection, with that one connection that's really good, one connection means I can only move you one direction, right? Like I can't actually, you can get some stuff with like cross head grips where you've got rotation with that, right? But really I'm only moving you one direction with one connection. So to get kazushi, you have to supply the other direction, right?
So you're given
Okay.
they so your opponent always gets a vote.
Yep.
So they present the first direction. High grip maintains that direction. Low grip
Gives a different
the
direction.
second direction. They gave you 1, you give them 2.
So if I've got 2 grips, I can do 2 connections. I can chamber and that'll rotate that shoulder towards me. So that's divided. Like when you talk physics, right? If we have an X and Y axis, right?
My favorite.
And you are moving this way.
My favorite of the axis.
All right. Yeah. X and Y axis, right? if you are moving this way, right? More of your force is going on the y-axis than is going on the x-axis. If you are moving here at a 45-degree angle, if you are supplying 50 foot-pounds of force, 25 of them are x and 25 of them are y.
Yep.
Right? When I bring your sleeve around into that chamber grip and I turn it when I'm going into whatever rotation, this axis is the relevant one because like we were talking earlier, the off balance I'm getting is moving your shoulder this way. It's making your shoulder cross the center line, just like the reaping leg makes your leg cross the center line. That's when you really go. You can, a Sotogari my foot straight up and I'll stand right there and be like, no. But if you do it this way, I'm going to yeet wherever you feel like yeeting me because it crossed the center line and now I have no base. I can't compensate for that.
Yep.
So when you're getting that high pull and turning them, the second connection is what supplies the second direction. If I only have this grip really and I start to pull and Nick just yanks his hand out of the way, he has to supply a second direction, or I just pulled him forward and then we're just dancing, we're line dancing, right? He's never going to go anywhere like that. But if he's trying to go that way and I yank him forward, he'll off balance. His nose will go over his toes because he gave me one direction and I took the other. That's where I get to that kazushi. That's why the connection is the second most important determinant factor in what type of throw you have opportunity to do. Because you can do any throw from any grip, from any position with any connection, right? Like we've talked about that. Can you do Ujimata with no grips? I mean, if I charge to punch you and you just duck under the punch and hook a leg up under mine, yeah, you're going to Uchimata me. You'll reap my inner thigh and I'll go over and Ashiwaza for the win, right? Like, cool. You didn't have to have a good connection. I gave you both forms. I gave you one form of movement and gave you a position where you could get under my base, and then you just took the reaping to give me a second direction. There I go, right? So, but what are the odds, right? I have to really cooperate for that. If you want to be able to like take the throw from me, whether I will ye or nil ye, you got to your odds of doing that are better. That's why there's 67 damn throws, right? It's because they're solving different positions.
Too.
Well, exactly. Right. Like that's kind of the next step of this, right? Is there 67 because they subdivide into the two real ones, right?
So you overlay this. So these are also floating within their relationship, right? So they're not always touching. So then you can overlay this.
Yeah, we won't do cosine vector analysis today.
Well, actually, technically, if you wanted to add the two directions, it like it wouldn't be like
it forms a sine wave. That's why you use the sine cosine function to derive how much force vector.
This is why.
So we're back to unit circle. You didn't know you were doing pre-calculus today, did you?
So this is why the clock is important.
Math's a language for describing the corporeal universe.
Oh, yeah.
Or north, south, east, west, however we want to call it, right? Yeah. So basically, it's head to ear to shoulder or disconnect shoulder.
Yep.
And then you overlay this, and that tells you the chain that you're going to be taking them in.
Yeah. So if I've got one good connection, I'm not going to get that like ear over shoulder thing unless they like dive for something and give it to me, right? So
this is Happo no Kazushi, the eight directions of off balance.
Yeah, exactly. And they come from like this whole thing. This is the kind of the math that works them out to there, right? Because this is math. It's math with shitty drawings. Yeah. But like if I only have the one connection, I have a limited number of opportunities for how I can get you off balance and in what direction, right? And what you're doing votes into that, right? Like what you're doing votes into that. If you're moving away from me and I have one good connection, I'm not going to reverse your movement and add a second direction. So
I have to supply one of the directions.
And that's where the 67 throws come in, is because they're solving, hey, if you're doing that and this is where that has ended up between the two of you bodies colliding in space, the things you have most readily available. Like why do you end up doing a Osotogari? Well, because they give you that leg forward and you've got your hip over. They give you that leg forward and this space is empty. Right? Like, so that's what you can take there, right? Why would you do like a ukiyotoshi or sumigeshi instead? Well, because your feet are inside theirs and you're both real low and they're moving forward. That's what you've got. This is where your limbs are. The shortest point to getting these relevant things is this way of solving that problem. But they all have to start with the angle, right? Because I can't make this happen against all the others, right? Like this is a determinant. This is the root of it. If you're moving towards me, I have to go with a forward throw unless I'm just so big that you shouldn't be fighting me.
And there's 6 of them. There's actually 6 of these because there's mine. there's mine, and then there's my opponent's. And what happens is we start engaging, they start overlapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If I am going forward and Nick decides I should be going backwards, I'm probably going backwards. Right? And then I have to make that happen. I have to yield to that and take him to a position where I'm stronger. I read that somewhere. Right? Right? I have to initially yield to that and change it to a position where I'm stronger. But I can't reverse that. You know?
Totally.
But the angle is the thing that starts it, right? Like the dominating movement and angle thereof is what determines where the throw is.
Just because I grab you doesn't mean anything. Like we were talking about at the very beginning, he was like, well, how do I do? I was like, hey, it's not the point. Because you can grab me. Just because you grab me doesn't mean this gets better for you or worse for you.
Well, kind of, we talked about it already tonight a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like where I kind of gave some examples of like using, like, hey, if I'm just concerned about being thrown, it starts stagnating my movement, which stagnates the angles.
Yep.
I can have all the connection in the world,
but neither of you are really doing
nothing's
much.
relevant.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. I have to use these other things and start creating a relationship or an interaction that actually gets me to where I want to go.
Yeah. So that's why this is, I would argue, the last part of this, right? Like I would argue, I'm stealing all the markers now.
Go for it.
I would argue that this part is the last factor, right? One, because you only get at best half of this piece.
Because it's shared.
Yeah, this is a shared burden.
That's a shared.
Right?
Yep.
And two, because this can only be classified as relevant if these factors are already met. Moving this in opposition to what you have here is just dumb. Like it's just dumb. If we've got a face head-on angle, right, and Ben is moving to my left, if I also move to my left, I'm accomplishing that, right?
Like it looks like,
because then we're line dancing, right?
If you want to get like kind of real weird.
Let's get weird.
Right, like that's part of this, right? Is I only get half this at best, and I have to do it in consideration of these. If I move if my one connection is up high on his collar and he starts moving, circling around to my left, and I just walk straight forward, I'm folding my own.
Yeah, so
I'm rendering my own connection irrelevant.
That's yours. This is mine.
Yeah.
If we just do the do-si-do.
Ooh, actually,
and
I need to stop you.
We start line dancing.
I need to stop you. I think you did this wrong.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think you need to draw yours.
No.
Right here.
Well, yeah. No. I was talking about the interaction.
Because we have to share these before it becomes relevant.
No, that's what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
Because if you just
that's where you were headed with this.
If you just step left, right?
Yeah.
And I step left and do nothing.
Then we lose this. We lose the relevant connection.
We're like this. Right? And then, so whatever the angle is, like, we probably share an angle, but it's a reverse azimuth.
Yes. So our angles are always opposite.
So movement's always going to be your pivot point.
It's like this.
Always.
Movement is the one that we always,
This is the opposite. Our angles are pure reverse azimuth. So whatever he has, I've got the exact opposite in forms of degrees.
The other reason I think the movement is the least important one is because how do you have to move to throw me with Uchimata? Do you have to rotate?
Hypothetically, yes.
What if I'm rotating around you?
No.
Right. Because if I try to step for a big Tani Atoshi and you just see it and like yank down and then lift your leg back, I halfway Uchima'd my damn self, right?
Yeah.
You didn't really have to move.
Yeah.
Do you have to step out of the way? Like if it's a rotation, if I'm rotating you around me to get to Uchimata, I got to step out of the way, right? If I'm high right grip and we're doing the Nagano Kata classic traditional Uchimata, when I'm rotating you into me, I step out of the way and then huck and reap your inner thigh, right? That's the definition.
So here's the hard part to try to figure out how to draw.
But what if you're charging me?
Yeah, same.
Right, yeah. So the movement is the least relevant part of how you get to complete any one throw. The movement is the one that can be tailored the most.
Fair. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the most. And I would say has to be tailored the most. Like you have to give at movement before you give up either one of these things.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're not going to throw me without a good angle. At both, at best, you're just going to fucking push me.
The line dance.
Yeah, we're going to line dance.
We're going to line dance. Yeah.
You have to have an angle you can do something with. One connection must be present. And then after that.
And so so there's 3 here, right? Because there's always, so like I have 3. You have 3.
Yeah.
So, and
this thing kind of like circles.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so at some point where your angle comes in, drifts in more, and gives you bigger relevance.
Yeah.
And I have less relevance.
And
that's where the actual
these move on
right?
top
So
of each other.
Right? Well, and there's the clock.
Right. Well, I think it also like moves completely and overlaps on top of each other, right?
Yes.
That's when we have a counter.
Yeah.
Is when each of us have moved.
Yes.
And we have a connection. And like you go for an Ippon Seoinage, and okay, you're moving to break that and go for that, rotate in, put the shoulder in, burden over. But I'm moving to, if I just get my hips in tight, now I'm in a position to Tani Itoshi. Right? We each moved, we each made, we have the same connection. Literally, it's you grabbing my arm, your shoulder, and my chest. Both, I'm using that connection to Tani Itoshi over my leg as I go. You're trying to use it to go over. We have the inverse of each other's angle.
Yes.
But like this thing just kind of like sets on top of mine. I think that's what I mean when I say like in judo, by the time we get this close, somebody's screwed up.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out who in the next few seconds.
And then in the next moment,
somebody has screwed up.
Well, we're in the next moment. We're going to find out who has the most relevant, like the percentile wide. Like, and it might just be just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where you get a lot of stuff with like, why does speed make a difference? Why does strength make a difference? Hell, why does size make a difference?
It's for those marginal differences.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, sure, in theory, if you are, Jigoro Kano with, Vampire Jigoro Kano, who's now got 200 years of practice or whatever on this crap, you could be the tiniest human ever, and your margins are so perfect that you're gonna fold, spindle, and mutilate.
The smallest margins with him have the most relevance because of the level of mastery. Yes,
but for the rest of us, there comes a time when you look at a guy like Brian Shaw and you're like, oh, that's a giant who's been stuffed into something vaguely resembling a human suit.
Yeah,
don't fight that person. That's not a human. You should only fight humans. You should only fight humans. You should never fight giants stuffed in human suits.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
No, I mean, that's awesome. But adding the caveat, again, this was using logic of relevance. Is that what you were saying?
It's formal rules of logic, right? Like,
the other way to say it for what we're talking about is it equals Kazushi.
No C are non-A. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
No C are non-M. No relevant connections lack an angle. No relevant connections lack movement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. And so you can, like, there's a step past this with the logic where you start going, okay, if I know that's true, all C are A, right? But not all A are C, right? I can take and run this modern square of opposition, the inverse, the obverse, the
So really, we could say, using logic, this is defining, like you said, this is just defining Kazushi. Like that's what this is.
I mean, I think this defines...
It defines everything.
It defines Kazushi sufficient to finish, right? Kazushi sufficient that you can complete the attack, right? Like I was talking with dude earlier about like the
Muhammad.
Sumiyotoshi, right? Mm-hmm. Like why would you use Osotogari instead of Sumiyotoshi? Well, because when you moved in to do your outbreaking, you didn't get their ear far enough back. And so you don't have Sumiyotoshi. But you've got it far enough that if I plant my foot back behind there and really drive forward, I've got an Osotogake. Right? I can make that work from here with the off-balancing degree.
Yeah, because now they're shifting.
It's a question of degrees.
Two amounts of relevance.
Yes. And if when I
that's why they float.
Snapped into Sumiyotoshi, he drove hard into and plant his lead foot in there. Well, now I've got an opportunity to do that little loop-de-loop and then Osotogari that thing across his center line with the same Kazushi that I already have. And then it becomes, right? Like, so why would you do one over the other? Well, because all throws are either Ukiyotoshi or Sumiyotoshi. You just have to do some extra shit afterwards if you didn't quite get there. Right? Like,
or becoming base. That's or becoming base. You either become their base, or it's Sumi, or it's
or the feet yi, right? Like if I do a traditional,
that's becoming base.
I say become the floor. If you can become their floor.
Yeah, some form of feet eating, right? Like something where you pick both their feet up off the ground. And that's your third category of these things. But by and large, yeah. So like that's kind of the math approach to it. The formal logic, you can start carving off this section and going, this is an empty set. There are no relevant connections that do not establish an angle of attack. None. Not a nil, zip, zero, zilch, nothing. There are no relevant connections that don't require movement. You will never get thrown.
if we weren't filming, I would have done something.
Right? But like
we'd have had to post this on a different website.
Right? But like, you know what I mean? Like we're both sitting here. There's a connection. Right? But without movement, it doesn't mean a damn thing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's no relevant connections, lack movement.
Yes.
But the movement's always like.
No. So we addressed this already, where it's like we have a hard time saying it. We say it in a really nebulous way where people don't understand. We're like, hey, which grip do I have to actually address? Like you'll hear the question, which grip do I actually have to address? Like Muhammad almost asked that earlier today. Yeah. It's like, hey, they get is this something I have to deal with, or is it something I don't have? It's because he doesn't understand the relevance.
It's something.
Like, how does this fit into this whole picture?
Yeah. I have this connection, and the answer to what you have to do about that is, well, if it's one connection, it gives them one type of movement, right? If they grip me here, okay, what can they do with that? They can pull you this way, and they can try and use that to pull you down.
Yeah, forward and down, that's it.
Get here and
arm
try
only
to drive
extends so far.
Exactly,
so if I'm using arm alone, I can either pull you back or pull you down. And because I don't have the true strength to go side to side.
No, then I'm only concerned with if I can't address the grip in a way of like removing the grip.
And I'll go ahead.
I'm concerned about feeding you the second direction of movement.
So let's add the devil's,
because you already have one in a sense.
So let's add the devil's,
or technically you would have the second. I have to be concerned about feeding you the first.
So
because if you have this, then you can maintain my movement.
Yeah.
Tai Sabaki. The body movement fighting part. Okay, like because people talk about you can use Tai Sabaki to generate off balancing. Cool, you can. When you do that, are you not just trying to establish a better angle? I mean, isn't that like you've got connection and you're moving your body? Why are you doing that? You're doing that because you're changing your angle. Otherwise, we're line dancing. Right?
Yeah.
Like even when you go, okay, what about like you for like okuri? Okay, so yeah, the traditional one, we move.
And then I kick your legs out.
Right, but I do that because when we moved the last time, I let you start to get ahead of me. I've changed fucking angle.
Second
right? I rotate around slightly behind you. Boom, kick the feet. I've changed the angle. That's what Tai Sabaki is it's saying, this shit is not working to give you the opportunity you want. You got to do some of this to get this where it needs to be. That's what it is. That's what Tai Sabaki is it's saying, you've got a connection, your angle sucks. What's the most important thing? We just said angle. Yeah. Right? Because it's what presents you with an opportunity.
Well, I mean, the same thing. Well, it's like, like, hey, they gripped you once, it doesn't matter. Like, you can counter grip, and that's fine. But it goes back to, okay, when I say counter grip, how are you counter gripping? Because you can counter grip in a stupid way and get yeeted, which goes back to the given the second angle, which means they can throw you, versus something that either neutralizes and or gives you an edge, and now we're playing. Well,
it's like you grip me right here in a nice stiff arm, and I try and reach over top.
Exactly.
I can't reach over top without
like the little randori
disconnecting my shoulder
movement. Piece. What kind of footwork did you notice? Did you notice it?
I mean, in what context?
They were angular.
Yeah.
So again, it wasn't.
I would have said rotation.
We weren't static, but the rotation creates the angle.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like you step back to open an angle.
Everything
forward.
Everything you're doing to step is to change the angle to something where you can attack.
We're like almost like shoulder to shoulder. Like we're kind of cutting these and creating these angles.
Yeah, that's one of the areas I struggle, right? Like he talked about going through the Rolodex. It's not a matter, it's more a matter of like, okay, the angle I've got, right? Like one of the things I'm struggling with is I'm heavier than I've ever been, so I'm not moving. My feet aren't moving me at the pace that my brain is moving me at. I'm just not used to it in imbalance, right? So I'm like, I see a thing, but I don't know if I've got time to get to it.
That's more of a conditioning thing than a knowledge thing. But
it's literally just like I gained weight faster than I got used to that weight to know how to move in my own body.
I get it. I totally get it.
So it puts me like a step behind my own brain.
But even like ignoring this and just talking in the Japanese nerdery for a second, when we say Tai Sabaki is, or Asugiyashi, which is like foot movement, I believe. Is a very specific skill set in judo. Like, hey, knowing a 3-step Uchimata means you have to know the steps, like how to, and then being efficient and hitting that triangle every single time. Because going back to angle, there is a range of angle that works and a range that doesn't. And why can you do this without understanding all this is because, hey, if I teach you foot goes here, smack, foot goes here, eventually you're like, foot goes here. And
and the beats will continue until judo's performed.
Exactly.
And so that's the, like, your foot has
not
to be
that I'm being anybody for legal reasons.
And but you go like, well, I mean, like, literally, technically, to do an Uchimata, do I have to put my foot between theirs? Not really. I have to get it there to access the inner thigh, but if they're charging me, I never do that. I just turn and they pull themselves into that position. Right? So, but that's why put foot between theirs, rotate around, lift foot up. It'll work because it's one way of getting there, and you just make them do that thing. And
but that doesn't represent the relationship.
It's not.
That's a forced mechanical thing that isn't organic. That isn't. You're not
3, 4, 5.
Because of the bubble that you're trying and the constraints that you're trying to use in order to teach a dance step. It's not showing you how the interaction manifests.
I can teach a framer how to make an angle square by going 3 feet, 4 feet, mark it, 5 feet between them, 90-degree angle.
Yes.
They don't have to know that's the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. They don't have to understand the sine cosine relationship to make that happen. It wouldn't even help them if they did.
No.
But if you know 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, square angle, right?
Done.
So, done. It'll make it work.
Well, that's why he says things like, hey, you have to give them the two directional, you have to give them 2 directions, right?
Yeah.
To start trying to, this is what I was telling you out there.
It scaffolds you to the thing.
We talk about this stuff, my professor and I talk about this stuff all the time, but there's a certain level of it where you never tell anyone out there.
It's lies to children.
Like that never goes out on the mat because if you get to a certain level where it's like that, it's too much.
It's lies to children, right? Like when you're teaching your children some things, you tell them things that from one level aren't entirely perfectly true.
Well,
but they
percentile of it.
There's a kernel of truth, right?
Yes.
And it points the way.
As they get older, the percentile increases.
Yep.
And usually for stuff like this, the reason why I was like, hey, you should come in here and talk about it is because you saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't approach you with it. Like, we gave you the very sterilized, hey, these kind of interact. And you go, oh, I see it.
There's
follow-ons
that goes here.
Yes.
So that part, right, like, but that's the thing, like you start with the lies to children, right? Like what generates power in any strike? There's two components. It's movement and body structure. Right? Like any punch, any kick, whatever, I have to get my body weight moving to it in some way. And then at the moment it hits, the structure has to be solid enough that the force goes into you instead of collapsing me.
Yes.
Right? Those are the things that have to happen.
And there is an angle present as well.
Yes. Well, to make it relevant, there's an angle component, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I deliver a $500,000,
it's a power scale. It's a power scale. So basically you have, so now we're back to my favorite.
Yeah, if I deliver 1,000 foot-pounds of force to your sternum,
basically
if it's at a 90-degree angle.
Underpowered. If you get overextended, you're overpowered. If you're under, there's a point in the center to where it's like maximum.
So,
and this is one of the things you're looking for.
I'm not entirely certain we're talking about the same thing. I don't think I disagree with you, but like so.
No, I'm just saying, but this comes out of an angle. So I'm just saying there's still an angle that is present.
So the way I was like taught this is something like, okay, if we have our perfect punch, right? Mm-hmm. Our full boom right cross, everything lines up, right?
Yep.
And like that's why you throw a right cross that way is because if it hits here, right, there's a line and the elbow is not fully locked, but it's close enough that it doesn't bend. I'm very strong at keeping this extended. Shoulder is rolled so that all of the musculature is supporting it, and it's right. This is in line with the spine when it hits, right? That would really suck if you were facing this way and that middle knuckle was right on your sternum, right? Like, especially right down at the bottom of your sternum.
Yeah.
That's gonna suck. That's gonna be god awful. You're gonna hate that. If you were facing like this, though, if you were facing like this, it's the same, 2,000-pound punch, just boom, you're gonna be like, oh, that was stupid. And then, right,
that's like the angle I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like there's an angle.
What I'm talking about is it's the lining it up part, right? Like, the truth of these things are...
That sounds like an angle to me.
You can generate... Well, I'm talking about the part that only you do.
Okay.
Right? Like the part that
relationship, ignoring the actual impact.
If I'm hitting
throwing of the object itself.
If I'm hitting ball,
just purely structure.
Yeah. There are
stacking things.
People will have different ways of generating force, right?
Yes.
Like Dempsey did like drop step stuff, right? Pushing
there's
body weight forward.
There's
so like rotational, I learned way later on. You can lead with hooks and uppercuts by pulling back. You can be stepping away from someone and use the movement away from them to generate force because your spine, when this shoulder pushes back on the spine, it pushes this one forward. So the further back I push off that, the harder this hits forward.
Yes.
Right? If this foot is planted... And that hits hard because it's boom.
It's dumb that I do it on the mats all the time. I didn't think of it from the striking perspective.
If we add the other person, one of the things you're also doing is you're generating the space to make that line up.
Yes.
So that's
when you get knocked out.
Yes.
Right? Like that's the goal.
Now, too close. I'm going to be over or under. I need to create an angle that allows that to exist. And sometimes that is a back pedal. Sometimes that is a circular away motion. Sometimes it's a forward movement, a circular towards them movement.
And so
you're trying to make that line up.
You'll have people who teach.
Sometimes they can move in.
You've got to time it where you're hitting right before your foot hits, right? Like that's how Dempsey wrote it in his book, and that's one way.
Well, Chuck Liddell knocked a lot of people out backpedaling. He would get you to chase him
because he had that like rotational thing, and it would hit, and then it boom. And Anderson Silva used to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was part of how he did that. Like he knocked out Forrest Griffin like that.
Yep.
And people were like, how did that didn't even hit that hard? It didn't maybe look like it hit that hard to you, but if you look at the timing of that, his fist was like
combined with the motion.
It turned right as his wrist locked. Griffin was slightly moving forward, and he yanked that hand down hard, and it just popped. I guarantee you that shit would have put up big numbers on one of those stupid little bar game puncher things.
Yeah.
Like, the mechanics were there to generate force.
Yep.
And, how much force do you have to generate? If I punch you right in the titty, like a lot, right? Like, titty punch has to be super hard before you really feel that.
Yeah.
If I hit you right in the solar plex, not near as much, right? Yeah. Hit you dead level in the forehead, probably a good amount. Hit you right up under the chin, not near so much.
Or if I can get you to supply the movement, I just stand there.
Because your body is built to take force straight on, right? Like that's why football players can all day long and only
my professor will talk about
CTE.
My professor will talk about with a jab. So stacking, right? But he'll talk about if you got a guy who slips really well.
Yeah.
And like you throw just off because he's good enough to tell. Yep. And so what he'll do is he thinks you're off.
He'll train himself
you're
to
training
dodge what you've done.
Yes, and what he winds up doing is he doesn't truly dodge it because you're teaching him to do the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're teaching him that you're sloppy, which you're not. So the time that you cut the angle and you slip it down the pipe, he steps into it. Yeah. Because he's not moving, because he's thinking you're going to be off. You've conditioned him
you've
to step into
practiced him to
and you
make
get him to step into it is what you do.
Yeah, that's a rough balance to have to take, but like, I mean, when you fight people who are good, there's
a level of good out there.
It turns out it sucks to fight people who are good at fighting. It's always shitty.
Yeah, no, there's a level of good out there that is truly shocking.
Yeah, and oh man, yeah, when you meet somebody who's like actually gifted at this, they'd listen to all this and go, I have no idea what they're talking about, and then they'd just go fucking do. You'd be like, I'm talking about.
You have plenty of people that do it and have no idea that this is taking place. Yeah. They're just gifted. They just
BJ Penn.
Yeah.
BJ Penn, like, or hell.
Well, he was super good on capitalizing on a moment. He could see just in a split second a drop in relevance of something, and he would capitalize.
He could read
instantly
distance.
Capitalize on.
He could read distance so well, and he could follow people. Like he could pick up on their pattern and movement. Like I watched you walk into the ring. I know what your jab is.
Suplex armbar thing when he was like, that the slow mo reel. If he was like hit, doesn't continue hitting. He's like wait, okay, hit.
Oh, Demetrius.
Wait. Insane situation.
Watching and just timing it and just the patience.
But he can see it.
No, he's watching him and the patience of him just falling like no, and then eventually on.
Now,
it was beautiful.
Now I'm gonna catch you.
Beautiful.
Oh, okay. Like, who just suplex armbar? So like it's cool and like people are like strong people, but not like the technicals. But people can try.
That video footage specifically, because you can watch his eyes and you see it in his hands where he's like following the guy and he's like, no, there.
Yeah,
it was amazing. That was beautiful. That was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
There are some people that are just that's how built.
That's like we heard in the military all the time. Tactical patience. That was like the perfect display of that. Of just like no, now.
Yep. Yeah. Some people just like.
This wouldn't be relevant. This isn't it yet. This is
like I could put all the force in the world into this, but they haven't stepped into the range for it. But they're gonna.
Well, that one specifically, that footage, the guy was backpedaling and falling.
Yeah,
and he was he was staying right on him and pursuing him, and just like no, now. Yep.
Yeah, and that's one
of my favorite clips of him actually over the suplex armbar. Like that was my favorite.
It was
because to me that showed his level of skill over that one, which everyone loves that one. Yeah, that's a good one. But that specific clip, I think, truly showed.
And on the grappling side of it, you can see. I'd say Gordon Ryan. You'll see him sit and like wait for people because he's like, I'm putting pressure here. I know you're gonna try. Sooner, there's my arm.
Yep. And you have to do the bad thing. You're in a position where the only thing you can do is the bad thing.
Yep.
So I'm going to wait.
I am going to make it intolerable for you to wait.
And as soon as you move, that adjusts these.
Yep.
And slips them into, this is totally relevant. Now you lose.
Now it's my arm.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Just, well, shit, I really like
It's not relevant yet.
I really like
here in a minute, it's going to be very relevant.
I really liked that arm, Gordon. My mother gave it to me, and now kept it for decades.
Yeah. Now it's not mine anymore.
Now it's not my arm anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I would really like you to return my arm to me, please.
I mean, that is fascinating. Which is crazy because it's literally the inverse order of precedence that what we originally talked about. It's like, before it was like, okay, movement, connection, angle. No. Angle, connection, movement.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like the inverse order. It's just a reevaluation and understanding how the three of them interact.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like,
the original drawing was like the simplistic.
Yeah.
Here's the deepest level we can give the students until they like are like, hey, I see it, and then it's like this is the.
You could take all this.
You go this way. It's all right.
So you could take all this stuff, and you could take and make a whole new. I was irritated earlier because first judo throw I ever got taught in a judo class was Osoto Gari. And I think that's like probably the same thing for everybody.
Pretty normal,
right?
Pretty standard.
And the more I learn about judo, the more I'm like, no, the first throw I should have learned was ukiyotoshi. And the second one, sumi. I think you could take all this and go, okay, understanding that we have to start with angle and then go to connection and then go to movement because if I'm going to keep picking on neck as the example, I don't get to pick which way we move.
Yeah, I
barely get influence on it, right? Like, the dude outweighs me by 6
So we'll reference Nick. So with jiu-jitsu, right, before we move along. So with jiu-jitsu and Nick.
Yeah.
So obviously strong, big guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not moving Nick.
Yes.
So what I do is I present an angle where Nick moves.
Yep.
I already have the connection. He moves into a position that adjusts the relevance. I sweep him, and then I just keep him on his back.
You have to.
I don't let him move.
You can bait him and make him move where you need.
But for me, what gets me to move him isn't me moving him. It's him moving. So this is his or coming in, his own diagram coming in over the conditions that I've set through angle.
Good Lord willing, and the flood don't come. One day I'll get there with judo, but like that's as it sits right now. I ain't moving him.
So
he's picking where we're.
So you're hitting on the instructor dilemma.
Yeah.
Which is what's the first thing I teach in order to try to get people to understand this.
And so this is my offering to that answer is all throws instead of getting reclassified. Hip throw, hand throw, whatever.
Yeah. If you're going to the north, it's if you're going forward, it's this. If you're going backwards, it's this.
All throws start in tiers. You start at the center line, right? And you have your sumi throws here. You start with sumi, and then you have your ukiyotoshi throws, and the next ones are the ones that are closest. What's the difference between like ukiyotoshi and ashiguruma? You like
because all
flip a foot around, right?
This is saying. So now we're looking at the clock again, right? So all we're looking at is
which direction you're gonna go.
So it's this, but then there's like subtle variations of these.
Yes, hop on Okazushi. But 8 directions about balance.
Yes. So that's what he was doing with the clock.
Yes,
where he was trying to. He was trying to cue you to this.
And so what I'm saying, like as a way of cueing to that, this is my offering for that. I'm thinking if you start with say, hey, first you're going to learn these, and you're going to like get where you can really explain why this works. Get to the point where you can go, I knew I could do it with Sumi because his ear was like clean over his shoulder. Okay, well, yeah, he was gonna go. All you had to do was like walk. Did he not go down with the first step? Take another. He's guaranteed.
So that's what we were doing when we brought up the what you're chasing is Kazushi.
Yeah,
that was another cue to try to turn. And we played an exercise.
I wouldn't be here if we hadn't gone through that.
Were you here when we played the exercise that night? Was that you?
Yes.
Okay, remember what it was like we were talking about specifically Osotogari?
Yeah.
Where it was literally like, hey, if you get here and you actually have the Kazushi.
Yeah, try to hold it.
And like, if you catch it, try to run them out the back door. And what you would see is you didn't even need the leg. You would just dump them. Yeah. And technically, if we just dump them, it's
turned to
now. And so that's my point, right? Is like, you start with this, and then you go the next tier of that might be like Ashiguruma. Right? Yes. And then you'd have a few other throws that are very close to that,
so you
right?
You start looking at
Hisaguruma.
Tayatoshi.
Yeah, yep. So you start looking at like this weird kind of directional bubble chart.
Yeah.
Like what bubbles off of this in whatever kind of like clock direction.
I'd argue it's almost like tiers away from it. Right?
Yeah.
Because these are just so close to it. Like
you almost look at like different. It looks more like a family tree.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so you have a family line. Yes, exactly. And like by the time you get to here, you're like this. Like
it actually would be kind of like this.
Yes.
This would actually.
Yeah.
Start doing this.
Yeah.
And the furthest extremity would be like a true sacrifice technique.
Yeah.
It's like you fall down.
Yes. And then because we have
so from like Ukiyatoshi to Hisaguruma, and then
this is the floor. So this is the floor. So then you've got the side to side.
Yep.
Right, where you become the floor. Where you just feet eat. Right. Yep. So those are here, and those are your outside. Sacrifice way down here, way up there, and this is feet eat.
But so like neutral.
Dayashi
Harai, I would argue has like more in common with Sumiyotoshi than it does with Okuri.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because if you look at, if I snap over to here, right, I get collar grip, I get a sleeve, I snap you like that, I've driven you into that exact same off-balancing, and now, as I pull it, if you try and step, I knock your foot. Your advancing foot has been swept.
Well, if we think about the grip...
But it's the same off-balancing.
If we think about the grip, it's always that pull to belt.
Yep.
It's always that pull to belt. Move that pull to belt. Now,
pull the belt frame so that you get the rotation.
Yes.
And then to get to the Dayashi, when they try to correct with their foot, because if they're trying to brace into you instead of letting you drive them over, you just sweep that foot out of the way. Dayashi Harai. It's Sumiyotoshi that's countering their attempt to not get yeeted.
Yes.
Right? It's one step away.
Absolutely.
It is literally one step away.
Yes.
Literally one step with your left foot.
Half a step.
Right?
How close can he get?
And then in the same way, Osotogari. I drove them and they started to stumble back, and the moment that foot got light, I was like, hell no, and I reaped it.
Yes.
It's one step away.
Yes.
Literally one step with your right foot away from Sumiyotoshi. So, like,
if you understand that, this is how you start linking.
Yeah.
And chaining.
But this is from that context of what angle am I going at? What angle are they giving me?
This is why we go down the road of like, hey, stop looking for a specific technique.
Yeah.
Like that's not, because if I'm looking for like Taio, like that's not, like I'm looking for the wrong thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I think, like, because if you want to get to that point of like, well, they're driving into you and you're not stopping that, so don't try to stop that. Do something with an Ukiyatoshi. Well, they're driving into you, probably get out of the way, now you're at a Tayatoshi. Right? Because you get out of the way and you do the same rotation and you leave a leg out for them to trip over. Now you're at Tayatoshi.
So coming back to the instructor's dilemma, So, ignoring specific details, but okay, we talk about Sumi versus Uki. Understand the rotational component. Ignoring the testing standards initially, that is judo. It's like, okay, understand those two things. All right, now when in doubt, stick a leg out or whatever. Get into that first level of attack off of these two
sticking
things.
a leg out hits somewhere in here for most of the
Like here, like here, like here.
We're gonna hit something, right? And then
like
high, middle, low.
It'll be a credible attempt if I.
Yeah. So and then you don't even talk names or throws. Just like do this thing. Okay, cool. Call it wrestling. Ta-da! 2 points. Yeah. So, and then at a certain point, it's like, hey, we've been doing these things. Now, plot twist. There's names to these. And you're like, wait, what? And name. Okay, study this, good boy, and then come back and test later. But for the efficiency of developing capability, you could simply do this, add this idea, play a few games around it, and then have people that could, I don't know if competently is the right word, that could fight a judo match. I guess competently would be the right word. If we're ignoring terminology, then competently fight or strategically fight a judo match. They wouldn't know what the name is, but they're like, oh yeah, I know this goes here. Hey, look at that. They would know that.
So if you never use the Japanese names and you just started with like backwards throw does ear over shoulder, forward throw does shoulder forward of spine, and then like and you can like leave a leg out here.
So like
just
trip
them.
Naming stuff.
You just
aside,
trip them.
Naming stuff. I think that's a little irrelevant for judo, just because it is part of like the testing criteria.
Yeah.
So like you can teach this, you teach this. You kind of talk about that, not necessarily in this detail, but just basically like, hey, these three things are present, and you need them in order to find Kazushi, which gives you attack. Then you have them play games where they look for these two. And what happens is when they look for these two, these other things start to manifest. Because they get so close and they're like, oh, I'm almost there. And then they do a little extra. So you can still teach, obviously, all the other throws, but you're never telling them to necessarily look for these other things. You're telling them to look for the things that lead to the other things when the relationship is off.
Yeah.
Hey, something is just off a little bit, so I didn't quite get this, but it led me down to here.
Yeah. I feel like, so like you said, we should probably make this a 3-part thing, like a circle divided up into 3 parts, and have your feet each, your I become the floor throws in there as well.
I'd say just redo that whole chart and just either call it one of these two things.
That's kind of what I was getting at, is like, I really think you could.
Like, it confuse people. They go up, start looking, and it's all just named either one of the two
and
things.
that's part of the
that
thing.
That would be like an interesting.
Yeah, like
ChatGPT could do that.
I would remake the chart, and this is what I was saying.
You could, all you do, you take that chart, you find that chart, you import it into Illustrator, and you go in and you remove the verb and you create your own text box and you just change the name.
And like I would make it like this.
No, that's no. I mean that's high level. That's
I would make the thing almost like this with like Sumiyotoshi and Ukiyotoshi.
Yeah. No, the family tree is
and
the
then
way to look
and then
at
have
it.
them branch out.
Yeah, no, I know what you guys are saying.
Yeah,
I was just wondering. I know exactly what you're just saying. I'm saying I wonder, instead of like drawing it out, if you just say, "Hey, ChatGPT, like do this," and see if it would like popular.
Oh, I doubt it would.
Oh, I don't know if it. No, you have like that would be so much.
Yeah,
but I think it could get there maybe. But
I think that would help.
Do it organically.
That would help when we're looking at a throw. Like we look at the throw and we look, okay, what name is this? And we find it and we go, okay, what? Like we were doing earlier, where we looked at every one of them. We're like, what would this? Well, the shoulders forward on that, and that's the off balancing. So it's one of these. It would go in one of these, and it would flow from that. If you had them already broken down like that, I think it would help reinforce the idea of I'm hunting for this type of angle and off balancing, right? Because now when you go, what throw am I doing? Oh, we're doing this throw. That's one of these. That means the first thing I've got to get to is this point. Now I can solve this problem with, insert one of 67 codified.
Yeah.
And then you can throw the name to it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm going to have to go here in just a little bit.
No, that's fine. I just wanted you to get this out because you weren't going to sleep. If you
Yeah.
No, this is huge.